Welcome back to part 3 of this video, Frustrating New Agers. Um, and but really this is kind of a Kabbalah masterclass teaching. And the beginning and the end, the Ouroboros, the serpent eating its tail, if we understand this, then we could say this very basic understanding, this that actually is the key to Kabbalah and Western mystery system, uh, is the end and the beginning. So you may have taken Kabbalah, you may have taken some Western mystery classes, and you might have missed the key. So there it is. And this is like, like a little detective decoder kit, toy that maybe came in the cereal, or this is the detective kit toy that comes with the book. And so it's kind of like your little magnifying glass or a little uh it's a little toolkit, okay? And it's basically the middle pillar, but we had to basically talk about the entirety of the tree, but we're using it in real terms, and you're seeing how Kabbalah thinking works. So you're kind of seeing it in real time with what's really an issue that I think, and we're seeing how I rationalize, how I use it as a tool for rationality, the system to the madness. And so this is literally applied Kabbalah, and it's cool. So we think magic and mystery, we think rituals and candles and special days, and yeah, but did we think that was also part of our reasoning process? It was our little handheld calculator. It's our method to our madness. It's the go between. It's the medium. So the medium is used to transfer information. So light may be the medium to transfer information from one universe or black hole to this universe and this black hole. And so information is passed on the medium of light. Now, which is a big key into elemental magic. The four elements are mediums to pass the intentions uh, from one consciousness to the other, from nature and the living universe to the will of the witch, or the witch to the will of the nature of the universe. And so nature is a medium, okay? Uh, just like clay is a medium for the artist, yet the artist still has to make the impressions, and it can go through an alchemy process of hardening, and it can perform a function or not. Uh, so I really like, so let's move on into our journey and our little cookie cutter called the Tree of Life to help us analyze, gain perspective on what's going on with these experiences with New Agers, who has traditional roots in seance, in spiritualism, and still has that, what I call a dirty root from religion. And we'll recognize the dirty root when it's believing in something like an unknown person. And you give your power away to it, and it gives you, and so there's kind of like a preacher, and they're always telling you everything is going to be okay. Trust me, I know. Or I am the connection between this higher being, this information, and you. And thank God you have a guide, a preacher, a priestess to deliver this to you. And so I'd say it's the misuse. So it's like this like religious strain. And you all need to believe, and I need to believe, and we all need to make this the center of our life. And it's not reality that governs reality, it's something spiritual or supernatural doing it. Trust in this magical plan, everything. So it's offering answers to random weird stuff of everyday life. It's offering answers to that which is beyond, but may require faith, may require money, may require likes and popularity, you know. So it must be true if everyone likes this book that's been channeled. It must be the way if this is the method everyone's using. My visions must be correct. I'm getting that gold star and that trophy if my visions are like everyone else's. Then I feel like that smacks of the toxicity of religion that's brought into spiritualism, New Age, and magic, and the new evolution of wherever we're going. Okay? So we'll put that away. Enough talking about it. If you've watched enough of my videos, I'm not asking you to have the same attitude as me or to not be triggered, but it's basically saying have a mind of your own. Give yourself the permission to put yourself uh like kind of like turn on your own genius light bulb, value your perspective, your opinion, become your own mad scientist and discover something. You know, you don't have to work it the same way, either by accident or by on purpose. You can discover, become a trailblazer, find a new method, find a new create a new insight that might actually propel all of us forward. You know, so right now we're very much into the big thing was, you know, Newtonian physics and old school science, you know, telling us how it was like a machine. Then it became uh then it became, so that was old science. Then we became new science, math, reason, like literally science by practice, by dissecting things, making medicine. So medicine kind of was has always been there. So it's always been like science, medicine. And then now we have technology. Magic has been one of those things that's been with us from the dawn of time. And the future of science and technology will be the new renaissance of magic. So we're going to go, the snake will eat its tail, and the tail is eating the snake, kind of. So from humble beginnings, it's already obvious that magic, it's already it. The highest expression of science and technology is magic. The lowest expression of science and technology is magic. So are we looking at the fruit? Are we looking at the seed? Are we looking at the beginning? Or are we looking at the end? Are we looking at the front or the back of the donkey? Okay. Uh, so it's kind of paradoxical. Uh, but we're also, so we're learning that magic is kind of perspectives. And from these different perspectives, we gain different insights, clarity, but then we also gain, we might do things differently and come up with astounding results. Okay. So we might have some stigmas, some ideas, some definitions and beliefs that are way outdated, but yet currently in the present moment, it's still relevant. Okay. So moving on. So we talked about this the sixth sphere actually, but in this situation, 1, 2, 3 is the third sphere. It's the sun, and it represents beauty. And I've given my definition as the golden mirror, reflecting. And what is it reflecting? This is the difference. The moon is reflecting from the sun, so it's been transitioned. It's modified energy through the densities, through the planes, and through the proximity. So literally through the proximity of the earth, but it's reflecting the solar energy. So this can only be a reflection of one of the rays, and it is encapsulated into an archetypal image that the channel, medium, the psychic, the magician uses. Okay? But the sun, where does it get its light? Way up here. This sphere doesn't exist. The 11th sphere is a mysterious sphere corresponding to the throat chakra and even maybe possibly the third eye. So the template put on the human anatomy isn't exact. It can be adjusted up or it can be adjusted down a little bit depending upon your orientation within your own energy body. But it basically goes Keter, crown chakra, to heart. And when and in the tree of life, the high priestess sits there. And it's the longest path from the crown to the heart within the tree of life model, supposedly. And so really what the sun is doing, it'd be like source will energy from the higher celestial realms, super consciousness, higher self, whatever you'd like. That's what the sun is reflecting, channeling. So the sun is like a magnifying glass. It's like a lens. It is taking all that energy and it's beaming it as this hot ray down to the earth, kind of like, metaphorically speaking. This is magic. Okay? This isn't uh anyways. And then this big mystery, this 11th sphere, which is empty and void. Well, that goes back to, sorry guys, I'm trying to sit on this pillow. Whatever. So once you get some basics down, we discover there is a hidden sphere, a sphere that should have been there, that's acknowledged but yet doesn't exist anymore. We theorize maybe a planet blew up. You know, sorry, Virgo, your planet blew up. Now you've been demoted back down to the earth. Um, but what's really interesting is what happens if the moon cycles upwards instead of down and around the earth? Very interesting. Uh, so, I need to draw that. Hold on. All right, so we're back. So I needed to draw this hexagon, and we had to put the planets and the spheres together. There's the sun, and then I actually put Saturn up here, and here's that blank space we were talking about in the tree of life, the throat chakra. Saturn moves, so there's a bridge from Jupiter to Saturn, and this is like called like the guardian on the threshold and crossing the abyss and all kinds of stuff. The ancient of days. And so in Western mystery tradition, in your ascension process, you eventually have to uh, meet the guardian on the threshold. And the unenlightened see it as maybe a monster or a demon guarding the ways to the higher dimensions. You know, uh, the demon of the abyss, which anything that is unfit for God gets destroyed. Now, this goes into the Capricorn Saturn energy. This goes into time. This goes into karma. This actually also goes into Kali energy and Shiva energy. So it all kind of corresponds. So each level, each planetary sphere of progression is kind of a miniature ascension process and a challenge. But basically, it's complicated. But you could also see it within the zodiac as Capricorn. Capricorn is the keeper of time, and we have the Tropic of Capricorn, we have the Tropic of Cancer. So basically, there's an unsaid secret about the moon, time, and the earth. And so it's like the grandmother of the moon is Saturn. Saturn is basically the creator of time, and the moon keeps time. Uh, uh, so the moon keeps time for the earth, and so the earth, the moon, and Saturn have a special relationship with each other. What does this have to do with the throat chakra, right? Well, in the tree of life, Saturn is higher up in the tree, is part of the trinity, the triad. And so basically everything, you have to know this, everything pretty much at the level of the moon and above is beyond your five senses and human perception. Really doesn't have a form in a vessel. It really only takes the form in the vessel basically from the moon connecting to the earth. Okay, that's where form, birth, and matter happens. We get the world card being birthed. Uh, so it's the portal of life and death. So that's another reason why the moon and the death card are so low within the tree of life, um, relating to all things terrestrial within the physical plane. Okay, uh, but the forces that create time are way above it and have to do with the eliminating force, the the force that creates limitation, with Saturn way up in the tree of life. And so the connection path is basically from the right or left side connecting to your left or right shoulder, depending upon how you're orienting yourself in the tree. It crosses right through the throat chakra. And so it said Saturn comes down and takes that position, uh, you know, and then becomes like a stepping stone, a challenge, and then you can ascend outside of time, outside of space, and have an experience with the triad, the quantum level of reality, or the fifth dimension. So understanding like quantum physics, third, fourth, and fifth dimension isn't anything new to our ancestors. And if we follow the myth of Western teaching, all magical and mystical traditions come from a very advanced society before this age, which was one reason why Aleister Crowley renamed the Judgment card the New Eon, because we are in a new eon after the deluge. But and then this eon is ending and we're moving into the new eon. The snake will eat its tail again. Atlantis rises, which is the truth about the Golden Dawn. It's no So when you look at the Golden Dawn symbol, it's basically a pyramid. It's an Atlantean pyramid coming up, rising with the sun, rising and setting of the sun. So the astrological ages, the Kabbalah, everything is tied together in a nice little neat package called the Western Mysteries. It's up to you to use your little decoder that you found in your cereal box or came with your book and read the text, learn how to decode with the symbols to understand. But I have to prime you and show you how to use it because it didn't come with a little instruction booklet. Okay? So, what's really so the reality of this sphere, it's actually the planet Uranus. This is the Aquarian energy. Aquarians are kind of like in two worlds. They have this uh they are out of, they're the mind. They have this connection from the future. They have a connection to the fifth dimension and beyond, and maybe the universe, and embodied in man. And Uranus, the planet, so the sign, this is where you have to kind of know a few different systems to put it all together. I'm kind of putting it all together for you. But Uranus has two ruling planets. One of them is Saturn, and the other one is Uranus. So, that mechanism is how, because just like math, you can't just let numbers disappear. You can't just let numbers accumulate. There has to be a logic and a reason and a methodology to it. Saturn can move down because it's connected to Aquarius. Aquarius is the ghoster of the zodiac. Aquarius is the alien. It's it's the foreign object. It's the clear lens. It's the channel. And so this becomes a clear lens. And in Aleister Crowley's and other readings, it's basically called the city, the crystal city. So usually when you're crossing the abyss, you're going up there, you see like a crystal city, you see crystal, you see clear. And so that's just a hidden esoteric uh, clue he leaves or they leave about the lens being clear. So when the lens is clear, the light of higher consciousness, Aquarius energy maybe once again, comes through, shines to the solar energy, and it's converted into heat like a magnifying glass, and life is given. And life is kind of like beauty itself. It's awe, it's joy, it's all those positive feelings and the warm glow. And so we see basically a flashlight, and it's being stuck through a hole into another universe, and it's shining its light, you know, or if it's not a hole, at least it's a clear lens, it's a portal. And so the light beam goes straight down through, hits the heart chakra, and maybe that's where it divides into the seven rays. Who knows? Like, so you can take it so many different directions, and it shines its light, and action. The movie starts, or the carousel is in motion, and we are experiencing life. And what does this have to do with everything? A lot, because these upper dimensions, uh, you can't sense with your physical senses, and they don't have forms. And so when you realize this, so just like Tesla is saying, if you want to understand the mysteries of the universe, think in energy and frequency. He's basically saying, so he was a known clairvoyant, and he's telling you to think in energy and frequency. So obviously, the level of information that's held in energy and frequency and vibration uh, was where the information was at, that he was extracting, bringing it into form with his third eye, and manifesting it. So he became a tool, he became a channel. Okay, so when you work with magic, just like Lord of the Rings told us, or was it the last unicorn? Last unicorn. Uh, the wizard says, the good one says that you're a channel. You channel it. And so when you work magic, you're channeling. Wouldn't it be nice if you knew how the crystal was built? That is the Kabbalah. That is the 10 Sephiroth. That is the formation. So so you're understanding the dimensions, you're understanding how it works. You're also understanding how your sensor, the information comes in, how it's transduced, how it's densified, how it's made usable for the level, how it changes shapes and changes forms, how it is birthed into existence. And on the flip side, snake eating its tail, you also start to understand how things are dissolved, how the form is the shell shatters and things are released and it moves back up the tree. The serpent's path tells you it's not linear. The lightning path is kind of linear. In a flash, in a moment, instantaneously, kind of like uh, how the Star Trek uh, transporter works, possibly. So the symbols are endless to understanding, and just adding the tree of life into as a decoder in whatever you're doing makes you a Kabbalist, makes you understand things. So when you apply it to magic and ritual, when you apply it to whatever you're doing, your art, it kind of makes you an occultist. And it doesn't always, but it helps you understand experiences. So the occultist or hermeticist were going to seances, they were going and investigating paranormal activity. And they were like, how can we make sense of this? How is there a science to it? What's the rationality of this? What seemingly seems non rational and abstract, experiential, can have the other side of the coin, can have a blueprint, can have a map. So this is kind of maybe kind of how the Western mind explored those more. And so the tantalating subject is magic and shamanism and rituals, like why do and psychology and the subconscious. I mean, that's always going to be very tantalizing to give it structure, find the patterns. But it didn't stop there. It went with things that already are structured and already are patterned. And we got chemistry. And when we start looking at minerals, we see geometrical shapes. So, biology, chemistry, anatomy, all these subjects are explored through the occultist lens. And the decoder is one of the decoders is the tree of life. So, that's why it becomes such a valuable tool that helps you understand. And so, I kind of feel like without this decoder, these mystical experiences, these more abstract, creative experiences, the artist sometimes doesn't know what they're doing. They're just doing it. It becomes kind of random, and then it tells stories, it gets warped and distorted. We can find that clarity, we can understand things. It doesn't remain a mystery. Like each new level of expansion, you're always looking over that edge into the mystery, but it's where you have been, you know. So it's like, it is like sitting on the moon. You know, you can look at the sun and have a totally different experience, or you can walk to the other half of the moon and look down at the earth. You're still on the moon and you're still looking out, but you're getting two different views. One is of the earth and one is of the sun. Then you can, so some of you are looking from the earth up at the moon. Some of you are on the moon looking at the earth. Now the 180-degree realization is dissolving the forms into the formlessness and getting it directly from the energy or the rays. Now you're on the moon looking directly at the sun. Okay, so just kind of metaphors uh, for having, for learning how to turn your perspective and see things differently, gaining insight. So I was thinking the other day of being on Saturn looking, like when we look up at Saturn, or Saturn looking down, it's dark. Saturn looking up, it's light. So because that reference of being half white, half black, the pillars of in the, so there's actually a Saturn reference in the High Priestess card, and it's actually the white and the black pillar, the polarity, the duality, time and space. It relates to Saturn, and it's the white Isis and the black Isis, and the white pyramid and the black pyramid, and it goes into all these other things that are highly cryptic if you do a deep dive into occult symbolism, Western mystery style. It's already been presented to you in the tarot cards, but I was thinking about that, and it was like, let's just bring it down a notch. So it's like a lot of people are really into the mirror theory for psychology reasons. And I'm like, you guys, what happens if you walk behind the mirror? What happens if you're not concerned with the image, but you're concerned with the glass? You know, it's like the coin. We look at both sides, but does anyone remember that round part? That's that third leg. We think yin and yang, but we don't think the circle that holds it together, the Tao. We don't think of that little S shape in the middle, the Tao, the flow. So it's honoring and looking at these other angles and sides and perspectives that give you a multidimensional experience, that give you a fuller understanding of what's going on. So wouldn't it be cool if you could understand and be wise, besides just be an information tool, and not really understand your source, and trigger everyone by misappropriating other people's gods, religious icons, shouting out their names to get likes and to get noticed? Like, so I feel like there's a lot of misappropriation and student misunderstanding and kind of a disrespect. And it's like, yeah, all things are one, but on one level they're not. You know, it may all come from the same source. Doesn't mean it's going back. It doesn't mean that's where it ends. It doesn't, so we can simplify things, you know, and I feel that's where we can hinder ourselves, but it's just something to look at. So love, wisdom, and power. Love, it can't all be love, because then we get ignorance. Okay. Can't all be power, because then there's no love. It becomes brutal. So it's love, wisdom, and power. All three together create balance. So move out of the duality model. You know, it's not just all spirit, it's soul and its body. It's the three dimensions in harmony, creating, continuing themselves. It's not just the seed, it's not just the fruit, it's not just the flower. It's all three. And all those, still it's the tree. So the tree, the fruit, the flower, the seed, all of it. So this is like a holistic way of looking at things to give you more power. I mean, wow, how much more power do you have now? Knowledge is power. So now we have knowledge, wisdom. Now we can add some love and forgive ourselves and understand ourselves more and evolve into that spiral evolution. I feel like I've said everything. I feel like it's all wrapped up. And hopefully this maybe inspired you to get a grip on Kabbalah or take some basic Western mysteries. You can just read books if you want, or actually go to a school. But hopefully it will enrich your mystical experiences. And it will give you a decoder into signs and synchronicities, because it's really related to correspondence. So that might introduce you to the 7 Hermetic laws put out by the 3 initiates. Um, because then you can even apply that if you want. I'm tired after all that. Have a great day.